Hold on. Wow, we're in an exciting endgame
Oh,
suddenly.
he did play rook b5 in the game.
He did. Rook b5. I'm sorry.
Oh,
It did get played, but Gary took on
oh,
h7 immediately. He did not pause. He allowed rook takes b2, and now he's played a4. What
much
he's
more
saying is,
sensible choice by
yeah,
Gary.
even if you get the a pawn, you'll be left with your a pawn, which is not exactly the pawn you want to have in order to win this game.
And it's a blitz game now, guys. 1 minute to 3 minutes as Gary's just played the move h4.
This
After
is looking very.
a5,
This is
h4.
looking really drawn, actually.
h4,
Oh,
But wait.
we've got
H.
rook b4.
Yeah,
We've
h4
got
is rook b4 though. Hold on.
rook
What?
b4 cutting off the
rook.
king, so the king doesn't get counterplay with king f4, king g5.
But also just
Exactly.
attacking stuff. Like,
Yeah, that too.
both pawns are going to drop if you try to move your rook away. Is h4 a mistake?
I don't know, but it looks like rook b4 is really good.
Huge.
Played.
Looks, I mean, huge.
And he's played it because what you said, Jennifer, the white king is completely cut off now. And I'm going to just play b6, king f5, and I'm going to start picking up some weak pawns. Rook h6 on the board. Okay, it makes sense. Gary's prepping. If you go king f5, h5 will draw the game. So king f6.
So king f7
king
was
f5.
played, h5 on the board.
Right? And
So-
like you say, ooh.
Oh, look at this. Gary was hoping after this capture to play rook b5. And if you play rook b4, trade the rooks, and his king quickly comes over. That's what he was hoping for. That line, well, we're seeing it differently now. If you go back one move,
Yeah,
Yaz,
you're right.
Yes.
rook takes, no, keep going. H5 takes, rook takes a4, and then rook b5. And if you play,
Then
and if
he
you
has
play rook b4, then rip it off and play king to d4, and we get the draw. Gary is
We're gonna get the same thing.
drawing anyway. Look
Because
at that.
Yeah, because the king is so far away. So if rook a4, rook b5 is going to force rook b4, right?
Let me just refresh
you need your
my
king
board.
like-
That's
Gary
the
has found his
transposition.
way to it. Now, this is the position that he has to worry about. He played rook to e4, also calculating that he'd be drawing that endgame as well.
That king and pawn endgame.
That king and pawn endgame, because he could not be forced away from his pawn.
But king D, this is a draw, guys. I mean, this is an
This
easy
is a
draw,
draw.
actually. The king comes to c2.
Wow.
Wow.
Gary showed some
Like-
tenacity.
Like, wait a
And
minute.
look at Magnus. Magnus is disgusted. Magnus is thinking, man, I let him off the hook. You called Magnus a legend, by the way. You've used this word twice, the legends. Magnus is quite young and still playing, but he is indeed going to go down as one of the greatest players ever. But the chance to defeat Gary has come up short.
Yes.
The legend Gary Kasparov playing
Slipped away.
past legend playing against the present or the future legend Magnus Carlsen, but it has slipped away indeed, and the game has ended in a draw.